Good day, everybody. My name is Todd Standing. I'm the man who takes people out into the field and has me to live interact with their eyewitness of Sasquatch. Doing one of the most important videos I've ever done in my whole life about Sasquatch. I've spent nearly 2 decades learning from them, being taught by them, being a student of their work, and then expanding out, meeting people, teaching the knowledge that the Sasquatch have been teaching me, that the Cree have been teaching me, that John Bitternagel, Survivor Man, Jeff Meldrum, the list goes on and on with all the what people have been teaching me to get this information out there, because it's really, really important, and I'm going to tell you why today. This is a video that is for the Sasquatch, that they inspired me to do, that they called me to do. You believe in destiny, you believe we all have a purpose. Well, I know that the Sasquatch have been teaching me and training me so I could get out to the public and put messages like this out here. So this is James behind me. And in case you don't know, so I have the Discovering Bigfoot documentary. It was top documentary of all time on the biggest network of all time, Netflix, in 2018. And I generated all this interest. I did episodes with Survivor Man. I do expeditions. So I get hundreds of emails for people asking me to do expeditions. And I have to go through them all and decide who I'm going to take and not. So James is from British Columbia, and he sent me pictures of tree breaks. So no bones about it. We're not far from, there's a line of houses around. There's a line of houses. You see there's trailers. There's a road right over there. And a few years ago, what inspired me to come out with James was, you can see this and you watch my videos. This is a tree break. This is an enormous tree break. And it wasn't this one. He just found this one. This one looks like about the same age as that. What it was twin tree breaks, which is enormous evidence to me that were pointed at these homes, which is where James lives.
Two sets of two.
Two sets of two. But the two that I saw really convinced me to call him and speak with him. And then I came out here, started working with him, and it was all, you think I was crazy and weird before. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm about to go right off the deep end, because I believe that these Sasquatch called me out here, did these breaks so James could attract Todd Standing to come out here and teach him and teach me about how these breaks are extremely important. So first thing I want to note here about this discovery process I'm going to take you through right now is the Sasquatch, James, aren't making breaks out here every year, are they?
Nope, I hadn't seen any tree breaks out here. I've been here for 8 years. The first 5 years, all I've seen is what was here existing.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
so in 1 year, they make specific amazing breaks that would particularly attract me, which is what happened in a photograph. So breaks happen. This man, not even sure really what they are. Where are you? I mean, you thought they were maybe Sasquatch, but
the only way I had any idea is because I had watched a lot of your videos and learned from you about tree breaks. And
right.
I mentioned that I seen some, but I was uncertain as to what they were.
Yeah, so he didn't have the knowledge and training. He sure does now. Like, he recognizes this stuff now. I would consider him a tree break expert, if there is such a thing, because he can identify him. He's at another level. He's working on bends and new theories that are amazing, that are going to help this discovery move forward. So let's say, it's not even a coincidence, guys. When you're in an area, I do this all the time on my videos. I talk about this is a 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old, and this is 1-year-old. That shows a history. There's no history here of tree breaks. Just suddenly 1 year, these tree breaks happened. This man takes pictures, sends them out to Todd Standing, and Todd Standing comes out because of it. So that's where our story begins. So we're going to go up to another level where the story unfolded that blew my mind, that literally is so significant. I believe I was the only person in the whole world that was able to identify what was going on here and put this message out that the Sasquatch were trying to tell the world. I'm going to tell you that today in this video. Stay tuned, more coming.
Something else that you may not notice, and I just noticed.
Hold on,
this.
Something else?
I just noticed this recently, and it's very unusual. If you look to my right, there's kind of a tree structure there, and I explored it just the other day, and it's quite odd. I mean, you know, it's not definite proof of anything, but it's very unusual, because I know this area like the back of my hand. So, and I haven't seen anything like what leads me to think possible Sasquatch is all the tree breaks. So
yeah, this is that's a Sasquatch tree break. It's clean broke. Even the little trailers up there. See those little trailers in the back? They seem to do that when they break them.
Yeah.
So break them like this. But that's really clear evidence to me of it. So in this beautiful place where there are roads that are rarely used, there is Sasquatch activity, but over the years, as my colleague has shown me, a break or two, nothing out of control, nothing out of the ordinary at all. The odd break here and there. We found a very significant 100% Sasquatch trackway when I was up with him a few years ago. So definitive evidence that Sasquatch are here, but a break here, a break there, every few years. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. It's very important to note that until forestry officers come up here and start tagging and start having the intent of logging. And that's where things got really, really crazy.
Little tree break right there, right?
So these loggers came in, and as you can see here, see how this is all cut up. So most of the marks that the Sasquatch were leaving behind were all taken away. A few spots that they couldn't access, like up there. See that bunch of tree breaks? Those are all from the same exact year. All these, that whole 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 that I could see up there. And noting again that this crazy behavior, this is when they went right off the deep end, only happened just before logging. Now that the logging's all gone, and there's not new logging happening that you know of, I'm talking to James, who's right here with me, now they're not getting crazy anymore. So literally you really have to think about this, guys. Really, really have to put one and one together. So rarely tree breaks are happening. And when I was here, there were twists, there were things that just, it was, like I said in the video that I did, it was like this group had a new style. It's not a style, it's a call for help. It's yelling out in desperation, please don't log our forest. Because now that all the logging's done and we're gonna go have a look at the logging, no more breaks like that. And it should disgust all of us that the Sasquatch are literally out here communicating with us, trying to tell us something. And the message, obviously, I mean, if you don't know it by now, two and two together, they didn't want this area logged. They knew logging was coming. Well, you can say they knew because of the forestry officers tagging, or they felt the intent of it. Something was going on where they knew this area was going to get logged. They didn't want it to get logged. They should have a voice. They're people. They're indigenous. We make major changes in our logging for grizzly bears, for, you know, burrowing owls. We've done this, and you know, I'm proud to say we care. At least some of us are forced to care about nature because nature matters, except when it comes to Sasquatch, they communicate with us. And this is communication, guys. This is so damn obvious. I mean, if anybody would just listen to what I'm trying to say, those breaks aren't happening. If you think that a bundle of, like, that's somebody at least somewhere has to go, something is going on. I want to swear right now. Something's going on. Who's making these breaks? How come this is happening? That's not nature. Like, busted clean breaks in a you gotta, for those of you too, I'll give you a wider look. Look, there's trees all over the goddamn place, untouched, all the way down here. Nothing is touched except this one little spot of clean, broken Sasquatch tree breaks. That's what they are. They're Sasquatch tree breaks. I've been saying it for a decade, and nobody's listening to them. Some of you are listening to me, and I want to get this word out there. That pay attention to stuff like this, guys. Get into an area, and even if people don't believe you and they think you're crazy because you're walking around saying the earth is round, they're all sure it's flat, and Todd Standing has evidence that it's round, and you have evidence that it's round, we have pictures and all that stuff, and they still say it's flat, fine. Do it for yourself, though. Pay attention to the frequency of breaks. Hey, every year there's a couple new breaks here, a couple new breaks there, but when you see them get crazy, the message is changing, right? There's a new reason. It's not just happening because These are very intelligent beings. And everything I was ever taught, everything I've ever learned was for me to come here and tell you they didn't want this area logged. They responded in desperation, trying to get these people. Can you imagine they just came in here and they just chopped all this down, ripped all this up, didn't give a rat's ass. And who's to say how much more was going on? Perhaps they showed themselves to the wildlife officers and forestry officers that came out here. Wouldn't even be surprised. They were rock knocking and stomping around, yelling, making booming sounds. And the ignorant species that we are, because this is getting to the point now where it's just blatantly ignorant. How many TV shows do I have to go on? How many CNN, BBC, front page newspapers do I have to talk about to say this is really happening? I have photographic evidence. I take people out and show them Sasquatch. These are signs of Sasquatch. They exist, they're real, they're out there. And the paradigm problem that most people are having is, well, how could this be going on? And the answer is always because they're that good. They're not just apes, no disrespect to the amazing gorillas and the fantastic chimpanzees, but this is a whole nother level of cold weather hominid, brilliant, genius, spiritually connected. The reason we haven't made this discovery, the reason I and so many people like me, researchers, aren't coming back with, I mean, I don't know what more proof you need, but, you know, there is DNA. The tracks have been acknowledged as from a species that indigenously lives in North America. Do you understand the ramifications of that? Jeff Meldrum had the tracks, the anatomy of the foot of Sasquatch, analyzed and accepted by other PhDs. Science accepts that these are tracks from a living being that resides here in North America. They accept the tracks, they just don't accept the being. I've had DNA, multiple people have had, Adrian Erickson had DNA all done and tested. Meh. We're faking DNA, we're faking the breaks, we're faking the tracks, and all these hundreds of thousands of people that have had sightings and have stories to tell, we're all just delusional. And all the native people that lived here, all of them, First Nations people in Canada, Native Americans in the United States, all these great trackers and all these people know they exist. Oh, they're crazy too. Or are they?